All right. Welcome back, everyone. We're just gonna keep cranking along these videos. As I mentioned before, we usually try to get as many recordings done as I can in one day, and then publish them when I can. Because as of right now, some of them do need to be edited. Um, so hopefully I can get through this whole year's worth of Action Comics. So we did cover, we did cover all of 1938. Well, hopefully we can cover all of 1939 today in recording, and then schedule all of them for X amount of days. And then in the meantime, we'll keep recording more and more and more since now I have more free time. As always, I hope you guys are all doing okay. If you're not well aware of what's going on, this is a Ring Along review. This is something I was trying to work on before while I was working, but now that I'm not working, I have more free time to tackle per se. It's pretty much for those that struggle with reading. I am one of those because of my attention disorder. Um, I it's very hard for me to read. My attention span is like a fucking rabbit. It's hard to focus on one thing. In comics, manga, and manhwa are definitely a few things that help me focus on reading because it's not just words in a novel, but it also has whatchamacallit, pictures, like a picture book, a kid's picture book. I hate to say it like that, but it is what it is. But it does help me read. And some people just have a difficulty read just like I do, and some people do audiobooks, but there's no actual audiobooks for comics. When you actually think about it, there is none. I hate to say it, I've never actually seen one. If there is one, let me know in the comments. But this is for those people that have the issue like I do, have the worst attention disorder in the world, to where they can't focus on one thing without medication or without music or without some kind of output or outlet to help them. For me, sometimes even putting my headphones in without any music helps me focus when I don't have any medications or I'm waiting for my next prescription or whatnot. Um, so this is for those people like me that struggle with reading and they need an audiobook from someone that has an issue like them. You know, because that was definitely when the one things I felt that in school throughout my whole life is in math I excelled at math, but when it came to reading and any type of reading, whether it be a science book or an actual book or history I had a little bit better because it interested me. But I've always had the issue reading and comprehending what I'm reading. So hopefully, this helps you just like it's helping me. Me doing this for you guys is actually also helping me read. You know what I mean? It's helping me tremendously. Granted, some of the grammar and shit is really bad because it's from two different time frames. This is from the 1930s, 1940s, when and obviously we're way ahead of that. But you get what I'm saying. It does. It helps me, and it helps me helping you. It goes in the long, helps in the long run. But let's get into it. This is Action Comics number 13 from June 1939. We don't have a fancy Superman logo like we did in the other one. I did notice in the previous one that they put Zatara on the front of the issue, but they didn't actually have Zatara in the issue. Uh, I assume it's because they just focus on the Superman in the DC Universe Infinite app. So, as I've always said before, I'm not sponsored. I just use this to help, do create these, ADHD audiobooks for you guys. Um, but yeah, let's get into it. Let's go. Superman by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Friend of the helpless and oppressed is Superman, a man possessing strength of a dozen Samsons, lifting and rending gigantic weights, vaulting over skyscrapers, racing a bullet, possessing a skin impenetrable to even steel, are his physical assets used in one-man battle against evil and injustice. I guess this jumps right in. The cab in which Clark Kent, ace reporter of the Daily Star, is driving to work is deliberately ran by another cab. Watch out. You did that on purpose. Prove it. That was no accident. He deliberately ran into us. Why? He belongs to the Cab Protective League, an organization that's trying to victimize the independent companies. That evening, within the privacy of his apartment, Clark Kent discards his false attitude of meekness as he dons a Superman costume. Cat protectively, okay? Sounds just like the sort of a setup I like to break down. um, Lith steps brings the Man of Steel to the sill of his open window. Incredibly powerful muscles launch Superman out into the night. Ah, there it is, just a block away. Shortly later, a fantastic cloaked figure hurtles down among the shadows atop the Carlisle Cabco, an independent company. It appears to come just in time. Below, the boss says either you join the League or you get the same medicine some of your drivers got. You assaulted my men and smashed my cars. Go back to your crooked chief and tell him I want nothing to do with him or the League. That's right. Got a kink in my neck. So you won't join, eh? Sure you won't change your mind? Go ahead and shoot. You bloody murderer. That's my cue. Pardon, but may I cut in? What in? Horning in, eh? Okay, you get the same medicine. Out flashes Superman, hand quicker than the eye can follow. Grasp the gun's muzzle. Sorry, I don't like the kind of medicine you dish out. Holy smoke, you crushed it like it was paper. What is this? Strong guy, eh? Let's see if that jaw of yours can take it. Brother, you're a gun for punishment. The Racketeer rams his jaw against Superman's extended blow, knocking himself unconscious. Don't waste any time worrying about the cab. Protective League won't be pestering you or other independent owners any longer. But a moment later, through the skylight, the Racketeer imprisoned under his arm vaults Superman. High over the city races the champion of the press with his captive. The Racketeer revives. This can't be. I must be going mad. He's a human devil. I've got to escape. It broke. What are... Unharmed by his great flying leap, deflected Superman smashes against a nearby building instead of alighting on it as he intended. Be careful. Two figures catapult toward the far distant streets below. Superman succeeds in grasping a windowsill with one outflung hand, but the Racketeer continues down towards his doom. I wonder what keeps keeping P. He should have returned from the Carlisle long ago. Look out. Watch out, Chief. It's Pete. He's dead. Quick, into the building with me. If he hadn't tried to stab me, he'd be alive now, but the fate he received was exactly what he deserved. Within the office of the Cab Protective League, what gets me is why Pete should have committed suicide. That's not important. What I want to know is if Old Man Carlisle agreed to join the League. Now, I want to point out, backtrack over one sec, is that this is pretty dark for Superman. Granted it was an accident and the guy who stabbed him kind of forced his hand to drop him, but I will say it's kind of dark for Superman to say something like that this early on. But I think we had this same discussion in a couple other, if I recall, it was like issue 2 or 3, where he went kind of dark and whatnot, which I kind of do like a little bit because that's what DC Comics is about. It's a little darker tone, more grounded than what Marvel is. So I do appreciate it a little bit more. So it's kind of interesting that we see this early on in the series. Within the office of the Cab, protectively, we already read this. Hello, Carlisle. Reynolds of the Cab Protective League speaking. Have you decided to join our association? You and your racketeering pals can take a flying leap into the lake. I'm going to call in the police and tell them plenty. Come on, let's get going. Carlisle is trying to shoot off his mouth to the cops. We'll shut that mouth of his for good, just in time. We'll mess up that old geezer so bad his friends won't recognize him. And if he still refuses to join up and hold his tongue, we'll use the GAT. The GAT. What's wrong? Why don't we start moving? I can't understand it. The motor's running all right, but we don't move, and the emergency breaks off. Solution. Superman has a firm grip on the rear bumper. Nothing's wrong with the engine. We'll just have to take one of the other cabs. Look, it's rising from the floor. Who are you? Someone who dislikes you thoroughly. As Superman tears the car apart with his bare hands, the Rocketeers empty their guns at him. Get him, kill him. Now, as for you two, don't touch me. Leave me alone, I ain't done nothing. Take these sledgehammers and start smashing those cabs. Get me? I won't. Better do what he says, boss. Faster, a little bit more violence there. I'm doing the best I can. I still can't believe we're doing this. I must be dreaming. Get the idea? Reynolds attempts to sneak off when the Man of Steel takes his eyes off him. Now's my chance. Whoa, where do you think you're going? Would you like to smash those cars, or would you like me to smash you? Those cabs are worth a fortune. Won't smash them, I tell you. All I've got to do is increase the pressure on my grip, and the world will be rid of another rat. Put me down, I'll smash a car. Please, then go to it. Into the massed autos of Cab Protective League wades Superman, demolishing them in a great wave of destruction. Let's see how you like seeing your car smashed. They're totally wrecked. You've ruined me. I'm not finished with you yet. You still have to pay for the lives of the rival cab drivers who were killed. Calling car K7, go to the Cab Protective League garage residents report disturbance. I didn't kill those drivers myself. I just gave the orders. That makes you equally as guilty. What's going on here? You heard Reynolds' confession? I leave the rest to you. Hold on. Where do you think you're going? So long, boys. My services are no longer needed. Car Racketeer receives strong sentence. Within, I think that was the end of that little story. Kind of just jumped into the next one. Within an auto bearing Reynolds toward Sing Sing. Mind if I smoke copper? Okay, but don't try to pull anything. Gosh, it sure is getting stuffy in here. I'm dizzy. Steph's never guessed that the cigarette contained mysterious gas. Oh, okay, so it seems like they were arresting him and he kind of like put them to sleep. Shortly later, the figures of two policemen are cautiously dumped from the hurtling auto. Reynolds escaped. Captures gas, poison gas. That seems just a little too ingenious for Reynolds to have figured out for himself. I better look into this. That night above the vicinity where Reynolds escaped, a dragnet was instantly thrown out. I'm counting on the hope he didn't get far. That abandoned police car near the dark cabin, perhaps. Down to the flimsy roof of the cabin hurled Superman. Here's hoping I've guessed right. I found you, Reynolds. You don't scare me. Now look, what a surprise. The fiery eyes of a paralyzed cripple burn with terrible hatred and sinister intelligence. So we meet at last, eh? It was inevitable that we should clash. Who are you? The head of a vast ring of evil enterprises. Men like Reynolds are but my henchmen. You have interfered frequently with my plans, and it's time for you to be removed. If what you say is true, then thanks for giving me the opportunity to capture you. You may not find that task as simple as it appears on the surface. You may possess unbelievable strength, but you are pitting yourself against a mental giant. I am known as the Ultra-Human Knight. Why? Because a scientific experiment resulted in my possessing the most agile learned brain on Earth. Unfortunately for mankind, I prefer to use this great intellect for crime. My goal? Domination of the world. Abruptly, Superman sprints towards the crippled madman. Next instant, he stumbles amidst a sheet of flame. The curtain is off. You may examine him now. It was a clever idea to line a portion of the floor with electricity, Ultra. What the? He's still alive? He must indeed be a Superman. That charge was enough to kill 500 men. As long as he lives, my enterprises will be menaced. Superman must die. He's securely tied, quick before he regains conscience. The Ultra-Human Knight flings a switch. The great saw whirls and hums with activity. Closer to the deadly revolving blades moves the unconscious Superman. Against the mighty saw moves the Man of Steel, a great rasping, the sound crackling metal, and the saw explodes into a thousand fragments. Fragments. Reynolds dies a horrible death as one of the steely fragments pierces his throat. Holy. I mean, yeah, I mean, it happens, but I wasn't expecting that. Narrowly missed me. You signaled for us, Ultra. Get me out of here at once. Following their master's orders, the men piled wood against the sides of the cabin, ignited. Burn it to the ground, he can't survive fire. In a matter of seconds, the cabin becomes a mass of writhing flames. Hurry before someone comes to investigate. Moments later, a fantastic air vessel of the Ultra's own design takes the sky in flight. Surrounded by flames, Superman revives. I got to get out of here pronto. Up, up leaps Superman out of the reach of a hungry blaze. Ooh, that was almost the end of me. I'll bet that strange ship belongs to Ultra Humanite. His fiendish deviltry is going to end right now. Aboard the weird vessel, more speed, Superman's escaped. He's overtaking us. I'm pressing it to the limit. Deliberately, Superman crashes into the plane's propeller. That'll fix you. Doomed toward the distant Earth hurtle, both Doom Plane and Man of Steel. The Ultra Humanite's vessel crumbles sickeningly as it strikes the ground with a thunderous crash. Strange, I can't find any trace of Ultra Humanite. Well, that finishes his plan to control the Earth, or does it? That is strange. For some reason, I thought Ultra Humanite was a villain that was created in World War II from the um from Axis Power. I think. Is that what I'm thinking of? Is either Axis or Nazis? Or I could be wrong. For some reason, I feel like that's where he started. But I guess they're starting a little bit early here, which is, no problem here. But for some reason, I thought they were, it could be completely two different people, or they could be the same thing. I don't know. I don't know. But that was the one thing I wanted to point out. This issue was a little bit more interesting, more captivating. We definitely have like not like a super villain per se, but we have a villain for like a villain arc, the start of a villain arc for Superman to go against. It's not your, run of the mill um, scientist from the 1940s cartoon that wants to do a stupid project or just wants to be a mad scientist or evil scientist and just destroy shit. Um, so that's actually kind of kept everything interesting. Um, so I'm gonna give this issue a 4 star. One thing I forgot to mention in the last video, which I'll mention now, is that granted the last issue had a good message from within the story, but the way that Superman was doing things was kind of dark. Like he was just straight up fucking destroying shit. And I feel like that could have been approached a little bit differently, like he was doing towards the end of the issue, where he was like scaring people, like the drunk driver and whatnot. I feel like that should have been approached that way instead of just fucking destroying shit and going on a fucking rampage. Um, but we do step in a little bit more darker in this issue as well, where he incidentally killed someone. Which supposedly according to everyone, he doesn't kill anyone at all, but it happens. It was incidentally. It kind of just he didn't do it on purpose or anything. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed this issue more than all the previous issues so far. Like I said, it's character building for a villain. I feel like we're start an arc. I hope it continues in the next issue. I don't know how long it will continue for, but I hope it continues a little bit more. Give me like a little bit more story building. You know what I mean? But yeah. Um, as always, I hope everyone's doing well. I hope you guys enjoyed this read along review, and I hope to hear from you guys soon. Peace.